the insights that makes every day work smoother. So I just want to add these some of the lines, and I want Valeri to start your session. And over to you, Valeri, now.
Hello, all. Thank you and welcome. Thank you for inviting me to your community. It's always good to be here. It is, like we said, going to be an interactive session. I'm going to make sure that, let's see if I can get things going. Woo, sharing. You should see the presentation now. Apologies if you don't. And let's jump right in. And there should be a video playing. All right, we don't need an intro video. This is the joy of Bevy, y'all. All right, let's start off with a bit of a poll. If you can, you log in with your phones. I just want to get a sense of where everybody's at with their Rovo journey. This helps me gauge, since there were about 300 and what was it, 34 registrations, which is the top of my registration list. Where is everybody at with their use? And I will flip to the right screen so you can see what the scores have been. Presentations. Right. And they're coming through. 34 of you have logged in. And it is okay wherever you are in your journey, of course. We will support you along the way. I know we have some community champions in the house holding it down. If you know an answer, please share it in the chat to anyone's question. That's how we build community around something like AI that is always changing and evolving. You may be the person that has the answer. Don't look to any one expert. I know people like to call me the queen of Rovo. I accept that crown with grace, but everybody has to be an expert in AI in the future. It's going to be the same as when we all got laptops. We all had to use that technology. When Google came out with Google Search, we all had to be proficient with using search. So AI is going to be the next thing that we all have to come around, and it's evolving so quickly that it's hard to keep up. We're going to talk a little bit about that today, but also, if you know something, I'm just encouraging you to share. So the majority of people here are a bit new. We do have some veterans and some people in the middle. Now let's flip back to that presentation.
I think you are sharing a wrong screen.
Oh no.
We are seeing just the question, like the first question, how confident do you feel using Rovo today?
All right, let me see.
And sorry guys, I didn't know like there is some music playing behind my mic. Sorry for that.
That's so good. All right, we roll with it. I like to say, people say, you must be so great at presentation. I'm like, no, I just have a really kind audience that rolls with it. So here are the scores, and then I'm going to flip back to our presentation. Let's make sure it's going quick. There we go. And resharing now. Let's see if I can share the entire window. No, here we go. All right, so in today's agenda, we are going to cover what Rovo actually is. There is some confusion around that. We're going to clarify and reset expectations to explore how to find context across Jira and Confluence and look where Rovo and Rovo agents could add some value. When we say Rovo has taken my job, well, which part of my job has it really taken? We'll close with a practical guide for adopting a tool that is consistently evolving so you can use Rovo with confidence. And let's see if we can play this video. Probably not. We'll skip this video. We'll send links with the demos of that are included in the presentation. I'm not sure if it's going to let me play. I can click all day. And let me see if I can pull it up on YouTube real quick. No, it's not gonna let me. The joy. So for those of you who haven't seen what Rovo is,
Your screen sharing has stopped.
there we go. Oh yeah, I'm switching to the actual Rovo
Okay.
just because that video is not working. All right. So Atlassian has a suite of products where you can manage your workflow. You add tickets. There's also knowledge boards where you have pages that you can write information, and they're all connected in one ecosystem. And that joy of the ecosystem is you can bounce from different apps and still be within the same environment. Rovo connects all of those apps together in one place, and this is what we call Rovo Studio. So if you look, these are all the apps that are in this specific space that I'm in. And in the studio here, it's connecting all of these apps into this AI experience. And you have agents, automations, assets, and hubs. So they're going to add more to each of these. But for this course, we focus more on agents. And you can add an agent, create an agent, or browse all agents. So this is the list of preloaded agents that come with Rovo. You can click on any one of these and customize it to be whatever you need it to be. So say you wanted Jira theme analyzer, you want to hone in on a specific Jira theme. You can click on this, view agent instructions, or when you create an agent from scratch, or when you customize an agent, what you do is you duplicate it first. That's the first step. And then you can change any of the information in here. You can even rename it to be specific to the theme that you're looking for. So say your theme is you want to analyze for the number of bugs within a sprint. So you can change it to be that title, and then you can tweak the behavior. And then these down here are the conversation starters that pop up in the chat to help people to use it. You also can adjust the scenarios, like how is it used, and let's see, all the scenarios and the, not skills, they've been changing things so often, the actions that it performs within the tasks that it's performing. So here you'll see the scenarios are kind of like the automations. They give you the steps that the agent is going to take in order to accomplish the task. Newer to this, the agent experience is users and permissions. Atlassian is now trying to give you more control over what you can do with your agents, and this is locking down who could use specific agents. So I am the owner of this copy. I haven't released it to anybody. I haven't launched it yet, but I could set it if I wanted to do different controls and groups. Sometimes larger organizations have 1,000 and 1,000,000 different agents because people create them and test them out, but they don't really use it. And sometimes that can create a very messy library of agents. So you can, as an admin, go through there and keep your list very tight. So if you wanted, that is to customize an agent. Again, you duplicate it. You can also star them. This is the library. And when you star it, it'll go to the top of your list. And then they also have recommended agents. And then to create an agent, you click create an agent. And then it walks you through. There are two types that they're asking. So one is just a regular Rovo agent that connects to your Confluence, Jira, or JSM. And then your virtual agent is, think of your little chat bot that you see on a lot of websites that pop up and you can ask it questions. This is more of a predefined service agent that you set the questions that you want it to answer and the responses and how you want it to respond, kind of like an automation. There's a lot more behind the scene programming that goes into this GSM virtual agent than it does in the Rovo agent. So if you're starting out, please start with just a basic Rovo agent. And then it walks you through kind of this conversation and you answer here on the bottom. And it helps you build that agent. Now you could skip all of the kind of the tutorial to create your agent, and you can go onto manual mode. And in manual mode, it has these cards that you then fill out. The approach I like to take is I will use OpenAI ChatGPT to help me create the best instructions, and then I'll copy and paste them over into my Rovo agent. I give it prompts like, ensure this agent is accurate, it's the most up to date, refine the instructions so that they're not too long. And it gets it in a spot that I really need. And then you click activate, but always test your agents before you start deploying and using them. Don't release them to your entire enterprise and say, go for it, because we want to cut down on some of that confusion. Now, before I skip screens again and do that transition, are there any questions that popped up in the chat? How do we get to this screen? In order to get to this screen, so you log in, and there are these two buttons up here. You have your home screen, which this is what you get when you log in. As soon as it loads, this is what you get when you log in. And you can go down to Rovo Studio here, or you can go into your home dropdown, the app switcher here, and it lists it down here. So the chat with the little star is that's Rovo Chat. And then Studio is the design, kind of like the design center. But you can get to Rovo in any of the applications. It's up in the right-hand corner. It says Ask Rovo. And then they also added kind of this floating button in the bottom right-hand corner. So you can click on either on any page and get the chat function. And then also within here, you have the agent library, and you can also create it. And when you click on these, it'll lead you to the Studio. There's that question. Let's see. Hey, Liz. It's always good to see you. Liz is a calming and grounding effect in my world. Virtual agent is one available as a chat option, right? Yes. So you use the virtual agent with your exterior customers, and they ask a question. It could be in Slack, it can be in Messenger, or it can be in your website. And then they ask a question, and then it connects to your JSM support board, and that it's automated, so it'll respond to you to the customer directly. There is some configuration involved in there, so it's kind of like that higher level step I tell people. And what is the link to the Atlassian community I should join for Rovo agents? Thank you for sharing that link. I mean, this is always good to have moderators because you guys are answering as we're going. So thank you all. And we've opened up the Q&A board. All right, moving on. Let me switch screens one more time. I think it is this one. Maybe not this one. All right.
Okay. I just opened the Q&A section as well. So if you are just chatting, you can chat in the chat section. And if you have questions, you can put that in Q&A.
All right. Now it is our second Metimeter presentation. So if you guys answer 3 questions for me, go log back in on your phone. I will again try to navigate all of these beautiful screens to get to the right one. And you should have 3 questions popping up for you. All right, next slide. Question number 1. Look at, I got 9 players ready to go.
I think your screen is not visible. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's visible.
There we go. All right, question number 1. Dun, 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 dun. Where can you access Rovo and Atlassian apps? Only on the Rovo homepage from the chat icon in the top right-hand corner, or only inside Jira projects. And it's like, I do love a good quiz. Oh, 20 of you got this right from the chat option in the upper right-hand corner. What helps Rovo give better responses? Always using all prompt elements, asking many tasks at once, or clear context in one task at a time. The video that I had in the presentation went over this clearly. We'll see how well you can guess, because I didn't actually mention this.
Robo should do multitasking. Asking many tasks is the good one.
It's all over. Yeah.
Oh, this is always a good thing. Can humans actually multitask is the question. All right.
Someone wrote ChatGPT.
And 28 of you got it right. So having clear contacts and asking one task at a time. I man the community chat in when you go on Atlassian.com, and the Q&A. A lot of the questions of like, why isn't this working, is because people are asking too much of it. There are others that they're asking Rovo to do things that the model isn't designed to do yet. But the other portion of questions is you're asking too much at one time, and it can't process that complexity. So break it down into good chunks. Just like when you ask something, Rovo to write something, start with an outline and then go have it write each part of that outline. Don't say, write me this entire guide. Chunk it out. Next question. What is the first step to customize a Rovo agent? Duplicate the agent from the library, edit their original agent, build a new agent from scratch.
I think building from scratch is the right one.
We'll see.
I'm just bluffing, guys. Don't trust me.
Yeah, don't. I'm like, trust
I'm
him,
just-
but don't trust him. Dun, dun, dun. Duplicate the agent from the library. That's the first step. And as many people can duplicate the same agent 1,000 different times. I like to tweak a lot of existing agents, so I'll have mine. I just warn everybody, clean up your own library, because when you get too many agents, it takes a while. You'll then need an agent to find your agents, which is a thing. And those are our 3 questions. We'll be back to Multimeter in a moment. Back to our presentation, the meat and potatoes. I know, I gotta share. Let's see, share the screen, window. Do you see it now? You see it now. All right. In our last community class, which was in November, it's been a while, we focused on the experiment stages of the personal AI adoption framework and the scalable AI adoption framework, using search within connectors as our testing ground. If you remember back then, if you don't remember, that's okay. It was on video, and I think I didn't delete it. I might have deleted it. You'll see. At the personal AI adoption level, we talked about how to safely test AI for everyday workflow, trying to connect search, checking the quality of the results across the tool, and refining prompts through trial and error. At the scalable level, we looked at experimentation at scale, including running structured pilots from connecting search across teams, measuring accuracy, monitoring access, and validating outcomes before broader rollout. Together, these stages showed how to start small, learn quickly, and refine AI search responsibly as it becomes a part of how your organization works. So these are the stages. I always refer back to them, because sometimes when people think of adopting AI, it can be overwhelming, because they're trying to eat the entire elephant at once, which is not a tasty snack. So take it by stage. The check marks are what we've already covered in various classes of mine last year. I will get to all of them, and eventually I'll have them all up on YouTube where you can watch. In this class, we're focusing on the evaluate stage of the personal AI adoption framework and plan stage of the scalable, to help you build discernment and reduce frustration with using Rovo. At the personal level, we learn how to evaluate AI responses, understanding what to trust, what to question, and when to step into human judgment. At the scalable level, we'll shift from planning to setting clear expectations, defining where Rovo fits into your workflows, how it's okay that it's taken a portion of your job, and identifying the right use cases before scaling. Together, these stages helps teams move from trial and error to informed intentional use, making AI feel more predictable, useful, and clear to adopt. So let's start by setting the stage, the mental model for Rovo. Rovo is not a standalone AI app. So there are probably, and there will be more, about 5 AI creators, the ones that actually create the models. Atlassian isn't a model creator. It is a user experience, meaning they create the tools, the features that connect to those large language models. Rovo doesn't know things on its own. It's pulling from OpenAI. Anthropic is one of the other models they use. So they use this, an LLM profile, so multiple LLMs, and they continually balance how those LLMs connect to the ecosystem, the Atlassian apps, through their interface, which is what I call their user experience. It reads and reasons over text it can access and the context that it's available. So a lot of the questions people are asking on those community forums, the teamwork graph isn't connected to that element yet, so that's why it's not working. Because it builds on large language models, Rovo is very good at working with written information, issues, comments, and pages, but it doesn't understand images, diagrams, or intent in the way humans do. It only works with what it can see. If content isn't connected, indexed, or accessible based on permissions, Rovo can't include it in its reasonings. So the quality of Rovo's responses depends on its data, the structure, and the access behind the scenes. So once you're able to see behind the scenes, it's really much easier to say, can Rovo do something? So Rovo is designed to support your work by reducing effort and surface content, not to replace your human judgment or decision-making. That's why Rovo will never take my job completely, because me as the human still has to make those judgment calls, the decisions. It takes away the repetitive tasks that I do every day, and it helps me do more of the judgment and decision-making, more of the leadership. So this is where many expectations and realities don't quite line up. So I'm going to clarify a few commonly confused concepts. First, language models are not image and vision models. So Rovo works with text, issues, comments, and pages, but it doesn't interpret images, diagrams, or screenshots the way people often expect to yet. So Atlassian is working on it, but they're two different concepts. There's a large language model. When you hear language, think text. And then there's image processing. Image processing is completely different. They do connect because you could use language to create an image, which I think is where the confusion comes from. But when it comes to analyzing an image against an image, that's a complete different build in technology, and they have to combine the two. Some people have already done it, like OpenAI has already done it. But when it comes to Atlassian, they're still building on it. Another area of confusion is consumption, indexing, and rate limits. These are three different things. Consumption is action, asking questions, generating summaries, and using AI features. You go over your limit, you have to pay on consumption. And Atlassian's consumption limits are pretty high. Indexing is for data. It's when you connect to those connectors and it's processing your content in the back end. You don't really see this. And that data is then used for search and references. If you go over your limit here, the collection of data stalls. So it's no longer pulling data from one system into another. Rate limits control your frequency. So you know that person that is always asking AI every 5 seconds something? If you go over your rate limits, it's how often you prompt your AI. It will then pop up a little error message if it's a good AI, and then you'll have to wait. Sometimes you have to wait just a couple minutes. Sometimes you have to wait an hour. Rarely ever do you have to wait a whole day. It means that your system is trying to manage the load. So it's trying to manage its resources. There's also confusion between feedback and training. Providing feedback is always important. You got to give your agents thumbs up and thumbs down when it's doing something good or doing something you don't like, so that it improves their responses. But this does not retrain or fine tune the underlying model. So sometimes people get super concerned about security and training models. When you give those feedback, it doesn't train the model. I do always encourage people to check the privacy statements to see how and when your models are trained. But those feedback responses are important, and they don't impact the underlying model. It helps to improve the responses and surface the right information. It helps in ranking over time when you give thumbs ups and thumbs down. And then finally, Atlassian operates in a closed model. That means the backend structure is all closed. Rovo relies on the teamwork graph, which isn't open or customizable yet. I think Atlassian, again, is working on it. So you can't add elements, you can't add fields to the graph, you can't directly manipulate it or tune any of the models yourself. So it does limit flexibility. It's very common practice when someone is building an AI infrastructure to do this, but because it supports consistency, security, and governance. And understanding these differences, which are easily to confuse, I've confused them before in the past, really helps set expectations, lower frustration, and makes Rovo easier to use with confidence. So please do share with your communities this clarification. You can screenshot this, pause the recording there when you see it later. Now, how does Rovo understand context? And then how does it miss some things? Some people are like, why is it missing these things? Well, a bit of that answer is because it's really early. Even though Rovo has existed a year and a half, maybe two, Atlassian is still early on in its build. So it hasn't opened up different fields. So it hasn't covered, I would say, Rovo covers maybe 20% of what is in the ecosystem. So it hasn't accessed a lot of its data. But how does it know? So Rovo doesn't reason the way people do. It reads across text. So Jira issues, comments, Confluence pages. It looks for metadata, the information you put on the subtext. And then it looks for language patterns and relationships between them. And how Atlassian stores those relationships is that teamwork graph. That teamwork graph was one of the reasons that I was drawn towards Atlassian, because that really adds a relevance to individual work. It determines what gets surfaced, what gets hidden. If work items, pages, and conversations aren't linked or referenced, Rovo can't use it. It can't process it, can't analyze it. If they're not connected, or if the access is restricted, either for your level, like you don't have the permission sets, or it's behind an SSO, like a secure single sign-on, and there's no connector there to create a tunnel, then Rovo can't see it. And that's why Rovo sometimes surfaces things that you don't expect, because it sees connections that you forgot about, but then it also can't. And if there is an error, because it's not seeing the information that you think it sees, because it's not connected, it's not indexed, or it's not accessible. So you can improve results. And I know I'm going fast, I should probably slow down. You can improve results by giving Rovo clear prompts, focus on one task at a time, and ensure that the information that you're depending on, that data, is being referenced. So reference a project or a page, make sure that the permission levels are exposing that page. Now, I'm not encouraging everybody to make all of their pages public, but realize that if you have a page locked down, other people aren't going to be able to see it. If you have an agent locked down and it's only viewable to you or other admins, other people won't be able to use it. And we want that control, but we also want to be very aware of our user roles and permissions, because that can impede people's access. So small changes in how you ask can make a big difference in what Rovo can find. So once you understand how Rovo builds that context, it becomes easier to recognize where it shines and where you could use Rovo best. I see something about Draw.io. I will get back to that. So what are the best uses of Rovo? When you know how Rovo builds context and where its limits are, it's much easier to build it. You spend less time trying to create this complex thing that eventually Atlassian will be at, but is not at there yet. So Rovo works best when helping people to summarize information, especially long issues, long comment threads, or scattered pages. Like it pulls all that information together. It's very good when at reducing repetitive tasks, helping people catch up things quickly. So like if you have a new staff member or someone new to a project, it's also strong at finding context across tools. So if you're moving across Confluence and Jira, so asking questions of like, what happened? Where's the documentation? What was the last decision? How was work connected? Even when the information is spread across Jira, JSM, Confluence, and comments. That's where Rovo can shine on those low value repetitive tasks. That's where Rovo is taking my job, and I'm super okay with it. I, as an executive leader of a company, should not be spending time managing my email. It actually costs the company money when I spend 3 or 4 hours only on email. So use AI, use Rovo to facilitate all of that low value work that you shouldn't be spending your time on anyways. And then you can spend your time on where your work really is important. So for an admin, that's administering automations, those tier 2 support problems. It moves you away from tier 1, and that's a good thing. You want to be moved away from tier 1 so that you can work on tier 2, so you can do root cause analysis, so that you can streamline your workflows in the back end. Things like scanning history, surfacing related items, or drafting a starting point. What it's not meant to do is replace human judgment, decision-making, priorities, accountability. That all remains with the human. And I'm going to go on a stretch and say it probably always should remain with the human. So Rovo supports your work. It doesn't own it. It doesn't replace you. When you use Rovo this way, it feels less like something you have to manage and more like something that quietly helps you do your job better. So one of the business problem about adopting a new tool is learning all of the changes. It's constantly changing. So to stay confident as the tool continues to evolve, understand capabilities will always shift, improve, behave differently over time. It often takes teams longer to understand the changes, to adapt to the change, to update the documentation before the tool changes once more. So you're always going to feel a little bit behind the ball, and that's kind of normal in an emerging technology. The way to build confidence isn't about trying to keep up with every change or memorizing every feature. Guys, I've tried it. Take my word. It doesn't work. It's about understanding the strengths and the limits and using AI tools in combination. So not just Rovo, but Rovo and other tools based on what they're best for. So if you're trying to use a Rovo for AI image generation, Rovo wasn't really built for that right now. Use OpenAI, ChatGPT, the other image generators. That's what they're good for. But if you try to stick a square peg in a round hole, you're going to end up frustrated. So Rovo doesn't do everything. No AI does everything, and it really shouldn't. When you try to get an AI to do everything, it creates a lot of computational costs, and the speed is so slow, and the energy it consumes is so high. So use some discernment in what AI you use for what given task. I also encourage you to use AI to tutor you and guide your AI use. For example, 2 years ago, when Rovo first came out, I created a Rovo enablement agent and connected it not only to Rovo documentation, like the official documentation from Atlassian, but curated knowledge that I had created. Because sometimes when I'm able to answer a question faster than other people, it's because I'm accessing that enablement agent, and then I'm falling back on what I already know about large language models and AI. And so I'm able to deliver that answer faster. Some of that information I wrote myself from my own education and experience. Some of it I'm just grabbing from official documentation, but I'm not spending the time going through and clicking through. Sometimes Atlassian puts things on the blog. Sometimes they put it in the community channels. Sometimes it's in our individual Slack channels. So I don't spend time switching through all of those. I go to my agent, I ask it, and then 9 times out of 10, I'm copying and pasting it and changing a few lines. Spoiler alert, it's me when there's like typos everywhere, because I'm usually doing 100 different things. Instead of spending your time searching for information, like I said, AI is really good at search. So ask AI and then prompt it to give you factual, current answers. Sometimes people are wrong because they're not prompting their AI for the latest and greatest information, and the ball is always moving. Also, you got to consider trusted sources. So if you pull information from dirty data or a non-reliable source, your response is not going to be that great. So this approach shifts your role from constantly searching and researching to evaluating and applying. So you're going from the finder to the evaluator. Rovo becomes a guide, not a guessing game. And this is where governance comes into play. You're managing your sources, you're managing your data, you're defining those boundaries. You're saying, hey, don't do that. And shared expectations across your team helps your team trust AI outputs more as the tool evolves. So when you use AI intentionally by strength and in combination with other tools, AI becomes less frustrating and far more sustainable. Now, I have one more slide, but we have 20 minutes. So I'm going to hop to answering some questions that haven't been answered. And then I will tell you a little bit about what you can expect in the future. Cynthia's on here. So in case anyone had any questions about the Rovo Accelerator, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, ping Cynthia. She was in the accelerator in the fall. We had some really juicy experiments, not to share the world without permission, but Cynthia wants to manipulate the teamwork graph. And I have faith in Cynthia because she is an expert in knowledge management and metadata, everything. So if it is possible to manipulate that graph, we will find a way. There are we did an experiment in ways we can gently manipulate it, but we're trying to find that greater manipulation. So will Rovo be able to pull information from third-party apps like Draw.io? So yes, Atlassian is currently working on a kind of like an API/connector that is supposed to enable you to connect to anything. Give them until September 2026 to actually release that bad boy. I think it's in beta right now. And then marketplace providers are creating connectors. So I am collaborating with Unido, and they are the first kind of marketplace provider to do a custom connector. And they connected, I believe, with Salesforce and one other. More with them. I will keep you guys updated in 2026 about that. But also Draw.io and Atlassian are not specifically Draw.io, but different providers like Draw.io are collaborating to create more and more connectors. So when it comes to connectors, look at the Atlassian to see what connectors they've created externally, and then also there are two-way connections. So go to Draw.io and see what connectors they have on their end. There is a strategy on whether or not you do a two-way versus a one-way and which directional you go, but that's for another class. Does this help in versioning releases or release notes based on tracks in fixes? Yes, you can do some release notes tracking. You have to set it up right in JSM, and you have to pull in some Confluence. Daryl is my favorite person when it comes to Atlassian specific release notes because he is all over them. So if you ever have a question about something Atlassian has released and where is it and what was the history, ask Daryl. He's a community champion and amazing. Going back through the questions. Anyone else, did you give an agent specific behavior and it forgets about it? Ooh, so I think it's in one of my slides. Memory. One of the reasons Atlassian Rovo didn't perform well in the past, and it's getting better, is it had really short-term memory, like nano type memory. Like you tell it something and it immediate forget. Now it doesn't currently have consistent memory, like it doesn't remember things forever, but its memory did get a boost. So it remembers things longer now. But the model in general, from my understanding, is not a persistent memory model. They do exist. It just has to be a smaller model because with persistent memory, you have additional resources. But they have extended their memory a bit, so it's somewhat better. So I'll do this question, the last couple slides, and then I'll jump back into questions and keep answering each other's questions and comments in the chat. So when planning rollout, there's a couple of reasons why I'm able to give dates a little bit better, like predict. It's not because I'm clairvoyant, really I'm not. I've just paid really close attention, and I'm not the only one that's able to do this, to Atlassian's behavior. So when things first started to roll out, like everybody else, I thought when Atlassian announces something at Teams, I could like open up my apps and immediately start using it. Like that was my expectation. And I think that's the average user's expectation. The reality is Atlassian rolls things out in waves, which is both smart, but also has some cons at the end. So there's pros and cons, mostly pros. But if you're expecting it to be on your environment right away, it's not, because it's in a rollout, and that rollout ideally would only take 3 months, but typically in past rollouts, it's taken up to 6 months. So I just know if something is announced at Teams, wait about 6 months for everybody to have it. And between 1 to 6 months, everybody's going to have a different version. So there's some of that understanding the patterns of the past for Atlassian is able to help predict what they're going to do in the future. But also, many AI tools evolve the same way. And this is the evolution I've shared with you on the screen. So when planning a rollout like Rovo, it helps to understand how the AI features typically evolve over time so that you can predict when things are going to happen and your future plans. So maybe that complex agent that you're creating isn't a good time to plan it now, but maybe it'll be in the future. So most AI features launch with a limited scope and clear boundaries. They do this on purpose because they want to start small before going broad. Also, when you adopt AI, I also encourage you to start small before you go broad, and always remember your boundaries. It's a governance thing. Early versions focus on safety and basic, useful, low-hanging fruit. We'll call it that. Not doing everything. The reason people don't want to do everything at once is because when you do everything, you get everything in error. So, and it's harder to test, it's harder to regress. This is why some features feel constrained at first. And right now, I feel like this is where we are. We have features, but they're very constrained. As the platform grows, coverage expands. More data sources are added. So like right now, we're going to get more connectors. So Teams 26, I have no idea from the back end of Atlassian. No one's told me anything, but I have a good feeling you're probably going to get more connectors. Your workflows, the pre-programmed workflows are going to expand. So when Rovo first launched, you didn't have skills. You had actions, but no skills. And then they brought on skills, and now they're expanding those capabilities even more. There's even a type of design, AI design, and modular design that goes back into that. And then more surfaces are added. And even though results may still feel uneven, this is often where teams find the most value, and but also notice the most inconsistencies. So that's where I think we're approaching. We're not there yet, but that's where we're going. Over time, though, and I want to say, give it a year. Give it a year. Over time, relevance improves as the system learns from usage and patterns and feedback. And when I say the system, it's not just the Atlassian systems feedback, the times when you give it a thumbs up and thumbs down. It's the feedback that you give as a community. So the times that you post something in the community boards or do a feature request on the Jira board, because Atlassian does have a feature request on Jira board. So if you see something and you want it, go post it in the feature requests. I reference it. I don't know how often Atlassian references, but I look at that to see what people are wanting in their AI, and it helps inform where I advise people to go when they're building AI. Responses become, at this phase, responses become more predictable. It becomes easier to understand why AI gives certain answers. As features mature, platforms introduce more controls, more agents, and more configurations. So configuration options. So when people are asking to manipulate the LLMs early in the lifespan of an AI tool, it's not the best concept, because they're not going to open up your configurations early on. They're going to wait until everything is good and then give the user more control to the system. This is very typical, not only in an AI, but in IT in general. Like, you rarely get a brand new product that is highly configurable, because people get lost in those configurations if you give them configuration options too soon. This is when teams start to tailor AI to their specific needs rather than just try and get out. And eventually features stabilize. They don't change as much. Expectations align with capabilities, and the AI shifts from something new and experimental to something dependent and part of everyday work. Understanding this progression helps teams roll out Rovo in phases, sets realistic expectations, and avoids frustrations as features continue to evolve. That's why I'm so big on an AI adoption model. That's why I'm so big on giving people the ability to forecast things out, because the unknown, we all got that experience during the pandemic. And when you set those expectations, those unknowns are a little easier to swallow. So I hope that gives some clear understanding of what to look at. And now we're going to hop into our last review on Multimeter, but also while we do this, I'm going to take a look at those questions that you all may have. I do have to switch screens again. I love you all. That was a lot of me talking. I hope everyone's still there. Is everyone still alive?
Yeah, we are live.
I know that was like drinking from a fire hose. It's because you guys gave me a juicy topic. If you gave me a boring topic, I'd be like, yeah, let's just watch another demo.
Alive and happy.
People are actually, yes.
Yeah.
All right, we did these questions. We answered this one. Oh, the winners. Did we tell you that we're giving away what is that called? What are we giving away, guys? Help me out.
We are giving away gift vouchers for the 5 lucky winners, the 5 first lucky winners.
All right, so for this first round, we have Johnny and Frosty. We're the winners of the first round. You said 5 lucky winners. So
Yeah.
we have one more quiz. So maybe the top 3 of this last quiz. I got an idea. So the first 2 of this quiz, which is Johnny and Frosty. Frosty, you do have to make yourself known to our host. Also, Johnny, is that John Funk? Because I expect there to be a funk in the name when there's Johnny.
I was thinking that.
Were you? I immediately, any John is John Funk in my world. He just walked into every room with the name song. This last quiz, we'll take the first top 2 winners. And then the last card, could we reserve it for a Wheel of Fortune for all of those who earn the AI badge today?
Yes.
On the community board, and there's a link to that badge. We'll send out soon. So what is Rovo best described as? A standalone AI model trained by Atlassian, a rules engine for Jira and Confluence, a user connected to a language models, user experience connected to language models. Do, 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 do. 20 of you got it right. It is a user experience connected to language models. So it's those features that connect to your LLM, or not your LLM, LLM in general. Why does Rovo sometimes forget context? Context is temporary and rebuilt per interaction. It clears memory randomly to save costs. It only remembers Jira issues, not pages.
I think cost cannot be the thing here.
Then he's bluffing again.
I'm not a quiz master, but yeah, I can bluff.
Don't
It works.
trust him. He will take care. He will take your vouchers.
Nice work lesson to show him.
Show responses. So it clears. A memory is temporary, so it's not a perpetual memory model. I don't know what those memory limits are, but I can tell you it does clear it every now and then. And then calls to LMs are supposed to be wiped immediately after. So it's all not contained within the Atlassian ecosystem. All your data isn't stored by Atlassian. Atlassian goes, if you do a call on Rovo, it goes out to the LLM, and then it gets the response, and then that LLM deletes everything, and then it comes back to the Atlassian ecosystem and then provides you with that response. So 27 of you were right. What is best practices for adopting Rovo as it evolves? Wait for features to stabilize before using it. Use AI tools together based on their strengths. Rely on Rovo as a single source of truth.
I think they are seeing the live responses, so that's why they are thinking.
Yeah.
You're cheating. You all are cheating. Just kidding.
That's
You
cool.
guys are correct. All 37 of you.
That's really
Use
cool.
AI tools based on their strengths. Don't stick to just one and expect it to do everything. Waiting for it to stabilize, by the way, will get you so behind the ball. And then once you do jump on this AI bandwagon, you'll be so very overwhelmed. All right, let's see our winners for this last one. Johnny and Frosty. Okay, let's do also Liz and Millie. So Johnny, Frosty, Liz, and Millie
Okay.
will be our 4.
So
Johnny,
I got the mail
yeah.
from Johnny and Frosty. And Liz and Millie, please share your email with me. I will share your gift vouchers.
Yeah.
Liz
Okay.
and
People are using actually their
Millie's,
different names.
yeah, different names. So
I can see there are 3 Johns here.
We have 3 Johns.
Okay.
All right. That was our quiz of the game today. Pop on for our last few slides. I got to reshare again. One of these days, y'all. One of these days. All right. So, Rovo Accelerator is from February, March, and April. It is 3-month accelerator. It is absolutely free. To apply to the accelerator, go to unifiedaiadoption.com. Applications are open now. I take 6 enterprise level companies, roll them through the adoption, one phase of the adoption process. We do an assessment, we do experiments. Highly recommend. I don't do them often. My goal is 3 this year because it is a lot of work on my end to facilitate. But you also get unifiedaiadoption.com. It has a ton of resources. Some of them are locked down. I don't lock down those resources because I want all the dollars. It's because a lot of the information was copied and it is patented and copywritten. So I lock it down to encourage people not to do that. But when in the Rovo Accelerator, you get all of that for free for a year. And the wrap up, what are your questions? I want to hear your questions, and also thank you all for joining joining the session. I hope it gave you some insight on how to use it easier. It made you comfortable about the ways that AI is taking on your job, and know that it's not going to take on everything. I have to flip-flop. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to have to flip-flop to the chat. 97 chats for me to catch up on. Let's see.
Liz is
My
rocking on the
Atlassian
chat.
ID. Millionaire gift cards. I'm loving it. Let's see, Mr. John Funk. Is there a hands-on class we can attend that will walk us through creating our first agent? So on this one, very good question, and I shall answer. So Brian Guffey, I'm not alone in this Rovo world. Brian Guffey, if you are a Forge person and want to create a scratch using code, or vibe coding, he does a Forge lab every Friday, and I think he's still doing those. If you guys want a hands-on, let's build an agent class, I can schedule one. Hopefully I can get some sponsors like you guys to schedule it and to facilitate it. It does take a lot to run these courses, and when you have 335 registrations, it takes a community. I couldn't do it all alone. So I would need some help, but we can definitely do one. Liz, I love you. She says, Dr. Valeri flexing all the VCU. That's the college I went to, guys. And let's see, Cynthia, scrolling up. If you do have a question, you can always go off mute, but I'm scrolling. An agent for agent, how deep to go? So in the future, right now we have human to agents. So like you have a human prompting an agent, the agent performs a task, and then the human comes and does something afterwards. In the future, Atlassian is not there yet. Some orgs are there yet. It's going to be agent to agent communication. Think of it like automating agents to play. So your agents will be working in the side while you do something over here. The workflow is, say you have your JSM virtual agent and it's working with a customer. So the JSM agent is responding to a customer whose password has forgotten their password. So they respond and send the password reset link to the person. The person then goes and resets their password. But then that agent, that first agent, is programmed to identify and reshuffle user roles and permissions. And so it sends a notification to another agent, and that new agent reshuffles those user roles and permission levels. So maybe they make the controls tighter, or maybe they make the controls looser, but it performs that task by itself, and it's just between those notifications between those two agents. That is the future. That is a little more complex to program. So keep in mind that's where we're going, but we're not quite there yet. Because I use ChatGPT, I used to have projects so I can train it to respond. Is there a way to do this? Riva, are you still on? I know we're at time, but let's take this as one last question. Oh, Liz already answered this. So there is a ChatGPT connector for Rovo, for Atlassian. So you can connect Atlassian to Rovo, and you can also connect Rovo to Atlassian. Depending on where you do your work is which direction that connector is going to be. So if you're doing the base amount of your work in the Atlassian ecosystem, use the Atlassian connector to ChatGPT. But if you're doing the majority of your work and your analysis in ChatGPT, use the Atlassian connector that ChatGPT has. If you're working with images, use the ChatGPT connector that goes into Atlassian, because like I said, Atlassian's not there yet in image processing. So you're going to end up doing the majority of your work on the ChatGPT side. But fantastic questions, and I'm going to turn it back over to our hosts.
Okay, so that was good actually. There were a lot of questions, a lot of discussions, a lot of fun discussions as well happening in the chat. We were a part of that. So yeah, I just dropped the community AI badge, the community post that we have. So go there, get your community AI badge and share with us. So we will distribute the last gift voucher offers as well. So we are giving it away. So you can just reach out to me on LinkedIn or Sushant as well. We can give it that if you are just doing it. And yeah, thank you for all of the attendees, all of the contributors, like especially Liz, Aramika, Sushant, and all the others who are just contributing to the answering queries and all, like other champions, my fellow champions as well. Like the Jitin joined here as well. Thank you, Jitin.
Yeah, I just want to
Yeah.
thank each and
So
everyone like who like it was a wonderful session, Valeri. Like everybody enjoyed a lot and lots of thing is going on. I'm still reading that conversation and everybody is in
Me too.
yeah, I'm still reading that and everybody is enjoying that and lots of thing and like Tintinia and Liz was like very much active on that. So
I love Liz.
yep, yep. So like it's been a great session. Like also I want to thank that like community champion like Ghaziabad and Jaipur like Anamika and is from Jaipur and Jitin is from that Ghaziabad community champion. So I want to thank to co-host this session, and I just want to be like it's a wonderful session. Like lots of doubt has been cleared, and it's great to see that, and
we
lots of
have
audience
almost
join that.
around
Yeah,
100, and we have
yes,
almost around 100,
hundred.
number of
We have
audience.
yes, we have crossed around 100 people joining this. Like it's been
Yes,
an
sir.
amazing. Yeah,
That and now someone has to answer their phone. But if your questions were not answered during this session, don't throw them away. I will try to get a transcript, guys, if I can get a transcript of this recording, and I will answer every single question that you've had, and I will post it in the QA session, the QA board on the Atlassian community board. If I can find your name, I will tag you so that you can see the answer to your question. I answer them all, literally answer every single question on that. So don't suffer alone in your Rovo journey or in your AI journey. You have an entire community, like our community hosts here will facilitate and get you to the right person. So you are never alone on this journey. We're always here with you. And thank you everyone for joining us today.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much. See you
Yeah.
next time.
Yeah. Bye
And
Bye,
bye.
we'll
guys.
hope to see Valeri again into our chapter. And yeah, and we'll,
Oh, thank you guys.
yeah,
Sorry about all the screen video
yeah,
frustration.
And at
oh,
last
yes,
weekend. In India, it's a holiday on 26th of January.
yeah.
Oh,
We have a long weekend here.
Yeah.
do you? I'll
Yeah.
have some fun. Eat some really good Indian food for me, and also just I know it's not Holly, but could you guys pick up some color and throw it at someone's face? That is my favorite holiday of all time. Just
Yeah,
wait.
that's great.
All right. See you
Okay.
guys. Bye.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Bye bye bye.
Thank
Bye
you
bye,
all.
guys. Thank you.
Bye.